Välkommen to Forfälliness Bellisting. A show dedicated to aligning a journey to a better mental health using the understandings of the ancient Norse. Join us each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Alaska time. Someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder, disappears, shattering, a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them. Look at that.
God Morgen and happy Freyja's Day to you. Today we celebrate the energy and the magic of Freyja, the Norse goddess of love and war. But we're going to talk more about how that energy affects us and our everyday life. But before we get started, I want to say thank you. Thank you for all of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed. Thank you so much. If you haven't had the opportunity yet to like, follow, and subscribe, please feel free to do so. You can do so on any of the platforms, whether it be our audio platforms or whether it be our video platforms. Any of those, like, follow, and subscribe, help us to push this message out even further. And as always, please check out my wonderful friends and family at New Reality TV. newrealitytv.com is a streaming channel dedicated to a plethora of perspectives that hopefully will resonate with you and help you along your spiritual path. If you do find yourself in a position that you'd like to make some donations, by all means, check out our donation site. There you can donate as often and as much as you'd like. Every little bit goes to helping our electronic platform as well as traveling around the world and visiting with individuals and helping them to find their spiritual path forward from pain and from suffering. So lots of really good stuff. If you want more information about me, myself, my shows, my teachings, and certainly information about the programs I have offered, including my life coaching services, by all means, check out norsewhispers.com. There you'll find out information all about me in hopefully a pleasant presentation that will resonate with you and help us to find each other where we can go forward. So, now let's talk about magic. What is it? Why is it? Well, magic is simply the manipulation of energies on any realm, whether it be the spiritual or the physical. So the spirits, those individuals whom are not currently bonded to a physical form, those spirits use what we would refer to as magic every minute of every day. They're alive, they live, they move, they speak, they listen, they transfer energy to and from them to us and us to them. This essentially is the basic definition of magic, is we're simply moving magic. Now, in my Norse ancestry, we spoke of essentially, it all broke down to two forms. And one, the magic that was probably the most prominent throughout the sagas and throughout the historical records for sure was this idea of the seer or the seer magician. And what the seer magician did was simply evoke a spell, cast a spell using their energy of vocabulary of sound. They would then project that out into the physical realm where other spirits, those entities without physical forms, would pick up on this transmitted energy, and they would then in turn continue the process. They would then incant a spell, and what essentially you wound up doing was having a realignment, if you will, of current resources on the planet. So in the Seether magician's case, my great-grandfather would describe it as we were walking down a path, and in this long path we would mutter, I am so tired and I have such a long way to go. I would love some assistance along my journey. And so the other spirits of the realm would immediately go out, and they would find along this pathway to the right there was a huge pasture, and in that pasture, of course, was a fenced area that contained a horse. His horse would then be whispered by these spiritual entities. The horse would be whispered, hey, there's this guy over there and he's walking, and if you get the chance, you want to run over there to the fence and give him a ride from, fence to fence, get him all the way across your pasture. And then the same spirits would go to the owner of the horse and say, you haven't let the horse run in the pasture for a really long time. Maybe you should do that. And they would convince the horse owner to allow the horse to run free in the pasture. And the horse would then run over, give the traveler the ride from fence to fence. Staying within his, of course, realm, the horse would offer a transport between that distance. So essentially, we're simply reallocating resources that are already available. And that was Seether. Now, Seether also included visions, because we're communicating with spirits. We were actually interfacing with the ancestors. So allowing them to give us information about, hey, when we talk about seeing the future, we have to remember that seeing the future is a tricky business. Why? Because in our lives, in our trajectories of lives, we maintain this thing called the Christian text calls it free will. In my teachings, I call it choice, right? So we can be choosing our trajectories going this way, and this isn't working for us. We don't feel fulfilled, we don't feel happy, internal joy, and we decide to alter the path. And up we go, right? When we alter the path, we change our trajectory, and when we change our trajectory, see their future looking, right? So that future eye is unable to see past the turn. It can see up to the turn, but it can't see around the turn. And then once our life makes that turn, now this Seether magic can see until the next time that you're going to make a choice. Because you have that ability, you always retain the authority and the energy at which to change your life. You have it in you intrinsically. You technically can't get rid of it. So you can always change your life. My ancestors have referred to this energy as the energy of hope. And that hope cannot be quashed. Okay? We can cover it with a blanket, but that's all we're doing is we're just covering with a blanket. The embers still burn. And the embers will retain. The embers will continue long beyond this physical form. Right? So It's just a matter of pulling that blanket off and allowing hope, the fire of hope, to kind of rekindle and come up to its roaring bonfire. So this is really Seether magic, and this is the magic that Freyja helped us to understand, and she taught. She would go on to teach, of course, Odin, and she would bring that magic to Midgard, Earth. The second form of magic is a little bit more, it's a lot more rare, A, but B, it was certainly a greater understanding of the magician themselves. And this was referred to as spakkraft. Spakkraft magic is when the magician holds all the energy. They can manage, and they focus that energy to manifest something. So instead of going to the spirits to find the owner of the horse and convince the horse, nope, they made a horse. Poof. Right? There was nothing. There was no inner man, because they understood how to move the energy from intrinsically to extrinsically to a point of manifestation. This is a lot more rare, but it's real nonetheless, and it's very powerful stuff. Spakkraft magicians were feared, and rightfully so. They had the potential of manifesting energy particles in such a way here on the physical realm to actually bring things to fruition. So they could just physically make things appear when it didn't exist before. So very powerful stuff. And this is, again, we're talking about the management of energies, all the energies of the universe focused into a singular point where we could manifest. Now, if you continue to read on through the sagas, for those of you who have, in Norse, certainly in Norse legend and lore, we read about this other magic called Galdr magic. And Galdr magic is simply a combining of energies. So we would take several Seether magicians, get them in a room or get them around a focal point, and then they would concentrate all of their energies towards this thing together, but now they're all together. So we're essentially multiplying the stream of energy moving from to this particular location, to this particular event. Now, with that, of course, you also had another part of Galdr magic that was raising our voice in song and engaging in dance. Now, this is very much a ceremony, and ceremony, again, is the ability to bring energies together to a focal point. Right? So if you had a bunch of people and you were in the center and a bunch of people were dancing and singing around you and it was pleasing to the ear, you're getting all this extra energy, right? And now the Seether magician becomes very similarly to having a bunch of Seether magicians. We just have a bunch of energy funneling through a Seether magician. So again, it's all a matter of managing this energy, managing the energies of the cosmos that are passing through you, in addition to the energy that you create yourself. Now, what is this energy I create, we ask? Well, that's a great question. Energies that you create are created by your interpretation of the experience of reality. They are emotional energy that you create when you feel certain ways, right? So if you were to, as an example, you were to experience something, and that experience created within you sorrow, as an example. Sorrow comes into the system, comes into the, for those of you who follow along, it's going to come in through the mood ring, going to go down to the well of the self. The well of the self may amplify this sorrow, may enter, just enhance or enlarge the stream of energy that we are interpreting as sorrow down through these rocks of, remember, our virtues, values, and belief systems, through that, and we're going to create biochemistry. The biochemistry of the body filters up through the bloodstream into the brain, back into this thing called the horn of feeling. Now, the horn of feeling is simply a location where we're going to convert the biochemistry back to bioenergy or bioelectricity. This bioelectricity, when it's converting, is very akin. My great grandfather explained it in the same way that you would pour. He said beer, but I've added root to that. So it's root beer into a mug, and as the root beer is poured into the mug, notice how the foam begins to rise. Right, and the foam will eventually come to the top of the mug, and if you continue to pour, it's going to spill over the sides. Most of us decide to stop before we get there, right? And we start slowing down on the pour. This is the cognitive piece of our management. So we have within the horn of feeling a very small sliver of space called cognitive space. And this cognitive space is when we kind of decide, whoa, let's not pour so fast. Pour a little slower, right? So we're pouring a little slower, and this now controls the expansion of the foam, or in our lives, that would be the creation of energy. We're going to slow that creation of energy to keep it within the horn. If we don't, and the foam comes out or the energy spills out of the horn, what we find is that we have these physical symptoms. Anxiety attacks, panic attacks, sweaty hands or palms, or sweaty period, or maybe we have rapid heart rate or some other form. We are now having symptoms of our horn overflowing with emotional energy. There's a lot of energy that can be created. So we really got to be on our A game. Now, what happens is, in many cases in our lives, we will have experiences where this foam rises too quickly. It's just right there, it is, right? And it overwhelms us, right? Because the first part is, once our energy expansion exceeds and kind of pushes out our cognitive space, filling the whole horn, we no longer possess the ability to think our way through this. We're overwhelmed, right? Because we don't have that cognitive space. That cognitive space allows us to chunk things down, make them smaller, make them dealable. And remember, we're managing now the bottle. We're not just pouring it in there and hoping for the best, right? Okay, so we're now managing the tip of the bottle. This is super important in our lives, because this is where, no matter how bad it seems, we can still have cognitive thought to be able to address different parts, individually, instead of this whole thing, which may overwhelm us. All right. So it's super important that we recognize all of this energy that's being created all the time in our lives. It's being created every frame of our life. So if you think of a day where you're picture after picture, not a movie, but a frame, and each of those frames is an experience, and each of those experiences has with it emotional energy. That's how fast you're changing. You're able to adjust, right? And so within that, there's so much power that you possess with that emotional energy. Now, don't kid yourself. Emotional energy is kind of this cycle, right? So once we create, say, a cycle or a energy of pain, of sorrow, we're going to, and we put that in our memories. Now our memories are going to send forward imagery that will be brought back into our understanding through our sensory input. So it's a cycle, right? Where we're going to pass along that energy of sorrow into our next experience, and our next experience, and our next experience, and our next. And it's not until we break the cycle that we go, whoa, no, I don't want that. I want to go this other direction. We can actually break that cycle and change our imagination, thereby changing what we see, how we interpret life, right? How our brain physically interprets the experience we have of reality. All right, I'm going to take a real quick break. When I come back, I want to talk about steps that you and I can use every day to manage this energy, to understand it, and to recognize its effect and be able to actively get control of it and manage it for the betterment of our lives. So we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
The air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me. It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
newrealitytv.com.
Welcome back. Thank you so much. My familiar and I are welcome and so happy to have you back. We're talking today about the power of Freyja, the energy and just the management of all of these things that come into our lives every minute of every day. And how do we do that? Well, the first thing we have to do is, firstly and foremost, is we have to understand what energy we're creating. In the big picture of things, when we have an emotional energy within us, whatever state that happens to be, we emit that energy. So if I'm feeling blue, as an example, and I sit next to an individual, say at a coffee shop, waiting for my coffee, as an example, I'm emitting the energy of sadness, of whatever, blue, right? And this other individual, whether they know it or not, will absorb that energy. Now, they have a choice, obviously, as all of us do, is that we can deny that energy and we can say, no, I'm not going to feel blue today. I'm good. Life is good. I have lots of things going on. I'm really happy. I had a wonderful night's sleep, whatever the case, right? So I don't want that energy, and I always have that choice. Or I'm not paying much attention, and I'm not being very cognitive of the energy in my mind, and all of a sudden I start feeling blue. I'm neutralizing the positive energies that I've created. Now remember, positive and negative energies can only exist in the human mind. That's it. There is no other place for it in all of existence. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It's simply a manufactured perspective within the human mind. So if we're putting out negative energies, we're feeling grumpy, we're feeling particularly nasty, that's the energy that we're going to put out, and that's the energy that others are going to absorb from us. In much the same way, we have the positive side, the positive energy and the light and love and harmony and peace and all those things. When we put out that energy too is absorbed by others around us. So we become kind of a beacon, if you will. So understanding us is first and foremost a methodology of managing our energy, managing its effect on our mental space. Because if we're in a negative mood, that now sets in the mind, it alters the mood rings, but more importantly, it's altering this imagination that's feeding into our sensory input, which means essentially when we see an image, there it is, right? Our negativity, our negative parts of energies will extract those things out of the picture that are pleasant, that contradict this energy. So if we see beautiful things out there and we go, our negative mind, our negative energy that we're producing in our imagination pulls out those positive things, so all we see is negative. Again, it's all part of the fight or flight thing, which is a part of your physiological being. So this then alters things that don't fit, or it highlights things that don't fit, and then kind of either extracts or draws attention to, one or the other, depending on where it decides is the threat, right? So the fight or flight then determines if this item, oddball thing, is now a threat. So if we have positive energy into our imagination, our positive energy is setting the way we see the world, so that we're picking up the positives. In much the same way that we just described as the negatives, the positive works as well. But this is in our mind. The cosmos, in all of its entirety, is neutral energy. It's just energy. And you can do with it whatever you see fit. We can convert it to positivity, or we can convert it to the other. It's up to us. Dark energy, the word dark energy, a lot of times people go, ooh, that's evil, that's bad. No, it's not. It's simply unilluminated. It's neutral. It's the same as light energy. Light energy simply is that energy at which is illuminated. It's been educated. There's intellect. There's pieces in there that we can glean. That's light energy. Dark energy is simply energy that may contain imagery or emotions of which we have no context. And therefore, it's fairly easy to just go, okay, that works. So, we have to know us first. This is the first step in managing energy. We have to know where we are, where our mind is set, right? So we are going to look at things like, what do we believe? How are we feeling? Why are we feeling that way? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Based on our context, right? What do we want to feel? What do we want our path to look like, right? Those are questions that is as unique as you are, right? No one else can make those value judgments for you. Nobody knows the roads you've traveled, not even those with whom you are most intimate, say your partner, your life's partner, or your parents, or your siblings. They don't know, because they don't know the effects, the spiritual and the energy effects that you've had on your life. Remember, each energy that we receive, each bundle of energy, wherever it comes from, will alter our trajectory. Right? It may go up, it may go down, it may go left, it may go right, it may go in, it may go out. Who knows? But it's going to alter it just a little bit. And each of these energy pieces, we could receive in a coffee shop, we could receive at a red light, we could receive from a walk in the park, a multitude of peoples there who are producing emitting a certain form of energy, whether it be positive or negative. And those pieces of energies that we absorb, or that we allow to be absorbed, are going to alter our trajectory just a little bit. Obviously, by the time we get to that place where we are going to depart this physical form and we're going to ascend into the spiritual realm again, our trajectory may be completely different than the trajectory we imagined as an infant. It may be completely different. But that path is solely on us. We get to make the choices as to what energies we accept and which ones we deny. We get to make that choice. We get to make that choice as to where we're going to go with this, what we're going to allow it to do, and more importantly, what we then are going to emit out to others around us. We can be negative, we can be whatever, or we can choose to harmonize and to offer, energy of love, peace, brotherhood, all of those things. It's up to us. So we get to make the choice. So today, as we celebrate and embrace Freyja's Day and look forward to a weekend, I hope that you will take some time to just examine you. Look at who you are and what you believe and why you believe it. Do you even believe it anymore? I mean, has your belief altered? Obviously, I probably don't believe much in Santa Claus anymore. But I do believe in Santa Claus. I believe in him as a spirit who visits us and offers that goodness, who embraces this idea of love and harmony and peace and joy and comfort, right? So, have our beliefs changed, and why? And how do they affect our decisions? So these are internal contemplation questions that will provide you with a great understanding of who you are and how you'll accept and emit energies. So I wish you the very best Freyja's Day. I look forward to seeing you again on Mani's Day next week. Also remember, in September, I don't remember the date right off the top. You can check it out at my website. There is a drumming circle coming up where we'll be at the Abbott Loop Community Park drumming. And I pray that you will join us, whether virtually or in person. I would appreciate any and above, and allow us to just move that energy of sound across and promote healing of the earth and promote healing of each other. Certainly. So I hope you will join me for that. In the meantime, stay tuned. We've got a really exciting announcement coming up later this year. It'll probably be closer to December or January. So hopefully really exciting. And so we're looking forward to that. So I wish you the very best, my friends. Love and light. And remember, you are your very best advocate. Be that advocate. Be who you are. Love and light, my friends.
Watching Ulfhednar's Belly Snake, a special production of Whispers of the Norse. Brought to you by the Alaska Ulfhednar in South Central Alaska. Guidance and wisdom, courtesy of an ancient Celtic Norse shaman. Thank you so much for joining us today.